The 10 best rap albums of 2024. I may not have managed to finish up the end of year lists by the end of December, but we are certainly getting it done before the end of January, ladies and gentlemen. So with that being said, let's not waste any time. This is CDTVProductions. Like to join my Discord is down in the description below, and let's take a look at my 10 best rap albums of 2024.
I'm back on the road again, been popping them Zans, and shit just might be my demise. Too many ops out here that's posing as friends, these niggas gon' wear a disguise.
From a bird's eye view was pretty underwhelming for me, so it made me pretty happy when I considered The Crossroads to be a bit of a comeback for Cordae. The Lost Boy was, and probably still is, my favourite project from him, but this one came pretty close to providing the same warmth that was felt on that project, which is one of Cordae's biggest strengths if you ask me. He's at his peak when the music feels cozy and soulful. Even the bangers here have some super smooth elements in there.
Where the love go, when I showed them the utmost, man this shit is so cutthroat, that was my mistake, well I won't make that shit again, never let niggas up close.
And a couple of the biggest highlights are the ones that dive into Cordae's family life, whether it's being a father on Shea Fanny, or the loss of his grandmother on Now You Know.
I'm still your father, you know, but I'm so proud from watching you grow. I wrote the song when you was 2 weeks old. Even got a daughter now, that shit hella cool. Wishing that you could've met her, would've introduced. Not to mention all the times that you helped out. If only you knew how much I have missed you, but you know now.
It was also a little bit funny that the best piece of Kanye involvement on this album wasn't actually his feature, which was kind of bad, but was actually Cordae interpolating Heard 'Em Say for Nothing's Promised.
And I heard him say, nothing's ever promised tomorrow today. Yeah.
I remember on my first listen, that was the track where I tilted forward in my seat and was fully locked into the music. And this album contains a double dose of more proof that what the world needs right now is an Anderson .Paak and Cordae collaboration album.
I saved up the whole summer, that's how I got school clothes. I bought some Pumas and some fake chains that was fool's gold. And off the brown liquor, nigga feel like Denzel.
Out in Washington, in the DC with a chocolate bitch, little freak bitch, geek.
They work so well together, just do it at this point, bro. In short, The Crossroads made me happy as someone that overall had lost a lot of interest in Cordae since The Lost Boy. This one pulled me back on board, and I'm happy that I didn't write it off or skip it.
What's up, what's happening, bitch, we live. Probably thought you never see the day of Ultra 85. It's been a minute, but baby, yeah, now we in it. What's that?
Did Ultra 85 live up to the mythical status and notoriety that it has gained over the past several years of Logic's career? In my opinion, not necessarily, but it's still a pretty good album that overall I'm happy with. Ultra 85 is nice. The only thing really stopping me ranking it higher is the middle section, which is a little bit shaky for me and has a few skips in there, including a very long skit that doesn't really go anywhere all that interesting. But man, does this thing open up strong with the 9-minute long, straight up rapping, no hook track, Paul Rodriguez.
So I'ma be catching wreck to the day I die on these 6 beats. You MCs better retreat, cut off my legs below my knees and still can never defeat me.
Followed by a catchy banger sampling Gucci Mane's Lemonade.
My flow rare like a first edition. Report for dismission. Everything I ever thought of, it came to fruition. King of the transition.
Then a callback to The Incredible True Story.
Could barely afford to rent, it's a true story, so don't pass. A decade later, it's a classic. What can I say? I guess I won't fade away.
And it also ends with a ridiculously good, near perfect run of songs. Track 17 to 19 in particular is honestly some of the finest work of Logic's career to me, with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood being the standout. We know how big of a Tarantino nerd Logic is, so hearing a very lyrically engaging track where he talks about how Tarantino films influenced his discovery of hip-hop, and talks about how changes in his life life made him view certain Tarantino movies differently was an absolute treat.
When I finally saw Rick throwing a fit, thinking it was it, I felt the same identically, cause we've been through the same shit. So my favorite Tarantino movie used to be Kill Bill. I felt like Beatrix while on my way to the top of this hill. Now I'm older and wiser, adult and walking up the driveway. I'll never have the passion I once did, it's understood, it's all good. Once upon a time in Hollywood.
And City in the Stars is just wonderful. Not only is Logic great on it, but Robert Ivory has a fantastic performance on there as well.
That I believe could be achieved if you just give me a break to breathe, a reason to live for me.
It's also pretty nice to hear another Logic album in the same vein as The Incredible True Story, with a cinematic feeling to it and a sci-fi influence running all throughout. In my opinion, it would be near impossible to fully live up to the Ultra 85 expectations, but this album turned out pretty good. Now, this might not be the highest ranked album in this list, but it's probably the one that I would encourage you to go and check out the most, because it's easily the most slept on one here. Gao the Arsonist is an experimental rapper from the UK who produces the bulk of his own music and already has a pretty well-defined style in terms of the visuals and the sound. Just looking at the music video clips on your screen right now, you're probably getting somewhat of a post-apocalyptic vibe from them, and that's a sound that I think the music exudes as well. Now, saying that, if you do check this out, I'd recommend doing it the same way that I did for the first time, which is with all the visuals that are on Gao's YouTube channel. Each song on the album has a looped music video attached to it, and in my opinion, it just really adds to it. You see characters in the music videos that are referenced within the music because there's a lot of lore behind the tracks that I'm still kind of trying to figure out, to be honest, but it is there. And it just adds to the experience a whole lot with some beautiful shots.
Full of tears of the one.
And what's more, it has a whole online comic series called Sludgebath that is written by Gao and is tied into the music and its themes. I haven't fully dove into it yet, but I do find that sort of multimedia aspect of it really fascinating, and I think it showcases Gao's skill for world building and aesthetics. But focusing purely on the music for a second, because that is the most important part for a video like this, it's beautiful, haunting, and raw all at the same time.
This is the arsonist.
The music is clearly well crafted, and I think he deserves some more ears and eyes for the visuals on his work. It resonated with me pretty nicely.
I go back to Vegas, I go CEO. I got tired of this shit, I had to let you go.
What an improvement this album was for Yeat. 2023 me did not truly expect Yeat to drop one of my albums of the year in 2024. But with 2093, he stepped up this idea of building up a world with your sound and pulling the listener into it, and it's super effective for me. I just love the general buzzing synthy sounds that run throughout all of this. It makes for a good fusion with Yeat's vocals. More, Shade, Tell Me, Mr. Inbetweenit, all of these songs were in my top 20 most played songs of the year because they're so sonically pleasing to me.
Heard you say you won't fall, you won't be. Let's all get high as fuck and pretend. Tell me, it's easier to scream. I say straight to hell.
This was pretty much my most replayed album of the year. Now, for me personally, how highly I would rate an album doesn't necessarily directly correlate to how much I replay it, which is why this isn't higher up on this list, but it does mean it's music that I can just put on, enjoy, and vibe out to at any time. There are even some songs on here that I was honestly kind of surprised by on my first listen. It's still kind of incredible to me that Yeat made a song like Power trip, bought the earth, or the outro to Tell Me.
Making out his money enough to buy the earth. I bought the earth, I sold it too. Yeah, boy, those feel good. You say feel good.
2093 just feels like a bit of maturing for Yeet too. There's less meme moments on this album, for lack of a better phrase, and less of a focus on funny lyrics and mentioning Tonkas all the time. I don't think he says Tonka once on this album. This album just shows a more artistically sound version of Yeet, and I will not be convinced that he has a single album out there right now that is better than this. I think it's undeniably his most well-crafted album. It's the first album he's had that actually feels like an album experience to listen to and not just a compilation of decent songs. To me, 2093 is Yeet's peak so far because it sounds like he takes himself a little bit more seriously on it while creating some truly interesting tracks and captivating sounds.
We selling it max, nigga, keeping it packed, so Russia and back, nigga, China to Europe, Europe to Africa black, so run me my stats,
Blue Lips wasn't entirely what I was expecting from Q, but I think for the most part, that's a good thing. To me, this one feels like a little bit of Blank Face mixed in with a little bit of Crash Talk if you boost the attributes, then mixed in with a little bit of something new in there. The Crash Talk element mainly comes in with the bangers, songs like Pop, the second part of Thank God For Me, and Yearn 101 feel like if the bangers on Crash Talk were a lot more fleshed out and less basic.
All my niggas gon' for me. Nigga, go to hell, you ain't fed. The white bitch do what I said. You rap niggas stay on your pairs. When the door got closed, I ain't feel too bad. I'ma run mine up, I'ma have some stash. Now you in the wrong purse, but you going outside. Now you on the couch surfing, you keep a little rat.
But then you get something like Blue Slides, which is on the opposite end from the banger tracks. It's way more smooth and introspective. It sounds beautiful. The Kanye defending on it falls flat, but I still like the song a lot.
Better climb out of that hole before you fuck up your blessings. Before you realize that it's over with and start to get desperate. I done helped out so many people, they took me for granted. I done lost out on so much shit trying to live to your standards.
Lovebirds is this weird experimental track that I honestly didn't really like all that much at first, but grew on me over time because of Q's amazing flow and Lance Skywalker's smooth switch up for the hook. Devin Malik is a decent feature too.
I'm really as cool as I seem. I'm good with the hook, I keen. I'm good with the book, Raheem. I'm a grown ass man, no jeans. Got a brand new bitch, new theme.
We also have some Schoolboy Q all-timers on here, man. Ohio with Freddie Gibbs is pretty much fantastic from start to finish, showing the adaptability of Q's flow over multiple different beats before Freddie Gibbs comes in with a great feature to kill it and diss the fourth chipmunk of Alvin's crew, Academics.
Come get a hell or get on the floor. Nigga, you pussy, you know where to go. Been through your hood, I done seen it before. Remember me, I done came through in the ghost.
Smack a nigga in his mouth for the loot. If I ever see that pussy nigga Academics, I'ma catch another lawsuit.
I've mentioned it a couple of times already, but Q's flow is so damn impressive on this album. The instrumentals are consistently pretty great, and Q always manages to elevate them by just finding interesting pockets within them. The lyricism is solid on this project, but honestly not a huge focus of mine personally. It's the way that Q delivers these lyrics that really has me hooked on the album. There's maybe one or two tracks that I don't love here, but it's consistently pretty great and another really solid addition to Schoolboy Q's album catalog.
I grew up in a zoo, monkey fist, mixed with Bruce in case you get your goofy split.
I think it's nearly impossible for Denzel to miss on an album. I've said before that I think he has one of the most consistent discographies in hip-hop, and King of the Mischievous South Volume 2 just further adds to that. The point of this album is just to have hard-hitting bangers from start to finish, and it absolutely succeeds at that. You're not going to get the most complex or layered songs with this one, but it succeeds at producing hard music with great production and excellent feature choices for the songs. This is essentially a Denzel and Friends project, and I love it as that. You've got a great throwback Memphis-inspired cloud rap banger with Ultra Shit, which honestly I wish there was one or two more tracks like that on the album, because it sounds so good.
sitting in the back of my car. High as I wanna be, high as I ever been. Dressing all black on the creek like the president.
Memorable feature verses from Tia Corrine, Damn Mexican OT, Mike Dimes, Project Pat, Armani White, and Play That Boy Zay.
Ain't no beating me, I'm blessing likes, money, dick, and dollar signs. No, you ain't gon' say it, boy, you'll tell, let's see what's on your mind.
She was just running packs, Emmitt Smith, running packs. She had to make it sales, bubbling just got a body that she got me paying bills.
I'm on my profit, if I run on the socket, run that shit up, bitch, on Sunday, feeling like Connie, you might deal with, I'm aquatic.
One of the most wonderfully smooth tracks in Denzel's discography with Cole Pimp.
Tell him I'ma hit my line. No hesitation.
Leather Louis sweater, I can never sweater. Blowing up a phone, man, you gotta do better.
I'ma get the bag like a top-notch Vanessa. Money talking to me like, hey Alexa.
And mostly solid performances from Denzel throughout. After the more reflective vibe of Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, I'm perfectly fine with an album that takes it a little bit more back to the basics with some entertaining bangers. Now, with that being said, if we can get a whole project that sounds like ultra shit soon, then that would be lovely. Need more of that ASAP, but I do really enjoy King of the Mischievous South Volume 2.
Wake up and I'm feeling like a punk. Wake up and I'm feeling like a punk.
F is for friends who make raps together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere and anytime at all in my Apple Music library. I've described a lot of music as fun, but this is like the pinnacle of fun music right here. Two friends having an absolute blast making music, and you can feel it in every single part of this album. I got introduced to Joey Valence and Bray when I first heard a couple of their more Beastie Boys influenced songs, and I definitely enjoyed them. But what they went on to do with this album was incredible. You can feel the influences from multiple different sides of rap. Of course, old school hip hop is still a major sound that they draw from.
Look, mama, no hands. No.
But it also feels like there's some JPEG Mafia influence in Joey's production. Some Fat Man Scoop, Crunk, and hyphy style influence, especially on the track The Baddest.
Okay, let's go. I'm the baddest bitch in this club. Who's the baddest bitch in this club?
And hell, there's even a Rage song with John Cena that they managed to make fit with their style and sound kind of unique to them.
John Cena the way I'm been chillin'. Bitch can't rap, it's best you stay hidden. We off the ice, vanilla, I stay with it.
And if all that wasn't already entertaining enough, there's a really nice Danny Brown feature on this project as well.
Jump up, meet the rap on my head, have your face fucked up like a 2K skin. Feeling like an old Xbox lobby, I'm that nigga.
It's a concise 35 minutes with 12 consistently energetic tracks, so there's really no reason not to check it out. Just pure fun and creativity from two friends with great chemistry and a lot of personality. Last year we had Scaring the Hose. This year Joey Valence and Bray gave us Vibing with Bros.
Yeah. Was taught to always be the message I bring. Pulled the sword from the stone. Some niggas that never be king, can never compete.
This is the only Boldy James album that I listened to in 2024, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I feel like if I kept up with everything, there would maybe be slight diminishing returns, and possibly even a little bit of burnout with his music, because I don't think anyone should drop that much no matter what type of music you make. But my god, was this an incredible project. It's the first time I've actually listened to a new Boldy James album since 2020's The Versace tape, and it caught me off guard how much I enjoyed this one. And I think a big part of the credit goes to the other half of this album, Conductor Williams, for the beats that he laid down for Boldy. He worked some magic on here.
For lifting water waste out of shape on that murder rock. Prosecutor telling my mother might as well give it up. I put the grits in the shift to let the work shuffle, but the coca leaves was my first hustle. Got the blow for cheap, jumping off the top turnbuckle. with the chair for beneath him. Snatched the ground from under his feet. Now his body under a sheet. Indecent propose.
I've liked Conductor's beats before, but he's never been a producer that I've focused all that heavily on. But this album has ensured that I'll be excited whenever I see him listed as a producer going forward. Baldy as a rapper is pretty monotone, and I'm not gonna lie, before going into this, I thought that would maybe end up making things a little bit dull for me by the end of it, but that never happens with this project. The verses never feel boring due to his complete confidence in his style and vivid storytelling coupled with smart wordplay, such as the clean circus-based wordplay hook on Flying Trapeze Act.
Tight roping in the street, this shit is death defying. With my last 90 circles with a wire hanging. Jumping through them fire hurdles like a lion tamer. Two in a hottie finna slide the machine back. My youngin' catching bodies like a flying trapeze act.
His flows, rhyme schemes, and lyricism keep things fresh between each and every song, along with Conductors switching up the overall mood of each track a little with each beat. 10 tracks of high quality raps over gripping production. That's what you're gonna get right here.
Woke up looking for the broccoli. High key, keep a horn on me. That could my seat. IP.
Fun music was winning in 2024, man. Off the heels of one of his most serious and personal albums with Mr. Morale, Kendrick decided to go in a much more West Coast banger influence direction with GNX, and the replay value is wonderful. Can we just give a shout out to Drake real quick for sacrificing his reputation and getting Kendrick to tap heavily back into his West Coast roots with Not Like Us? Because it feels like this album wouldn't have happened the way that it did without Not Like Us. TV Off is of course the clearest example. It's essentially a sequel track.
It's not enough. Few solid niggas left, but it's not enough. Few bitches that'll really step, but it's not enough.
But songs like Squabble Up and Hey Now have a similar infectious bounce with wonderfully animated rapping from Kendrick.
I feel good, get the fuck out my face. Look good, but she don't got no ties. Everyday tax season, what the fuck you wearing, bro? It's tacky. Niggas laying on their deathbed trying to match me.
Speaking of animated rapping, it's very entertaining to hear this supremely talented rapper turning the goofiness all the way up to 11 for something like Peekaboo.
Hey, ain't the one to play with. Hey. Pull off in a lamb, double pocket all that tam.
As someone who still unfortunately hasn't really been able to get into Mr. Morale to this day, an album like this was a blessing for me. And of course, even with all the fun on here, there are still some more serious tracks, like The Reflective Man at the Garden.
I burn this bitch down, don't you play with me and stay with me. I'm crashing out right now, no one's safe with me. I did it with integrity and niggas still try hate on me.
The heartwarming ode to friendship within the music world that is The Heart Part 6.
I remain patient, grinding with my brothers. It was us against them, no one above us. Bless our hearts.
Or the incredible storytelling track Reincarnated, where Kendrick channels his inner Tupac.
I manipulated power as I lied to the masses. Died with my money, gluttony was too attractive. Reincarnated.
It's unreal that this is mostly considered to be the light-hearted project in Kendrick's discography, but it still has a song where he speaks to God and rewrites the story of the devil to try and divorce the allure of sin from being a musician. Just a completely insane man, in the best way. Top that off with 2 absolutely blissful SZA collaborations, and you have another amazing Kendrick Lamar album. There's only one dud for me here, and it's the title track. Everything outside of that is varying levels of good to outstanding.
She ain't never been no one who talk like that. And if you hang up on a nigga, bitch, I call right back. Yo.
This one was an easy pick for my number 1 spot. Tyler came through towards the end of the year and swooped up my album of the year spot with potentially his most mature and personal album to date. Chromacopia sounds absolutely stunning, but the heavy focus on it of Tyler wrestling with the idea of fatherhood and how, if he's being honest with himself, it's just not really a good fit for his current lifestyle was a welcome surprise. I didn't really expect the album to go in that direction, but it really highlights the fact that he's far from the young man that you heard on albums like Goblin and Wolf. And the writing throughout all of this is probably the best on any Tyler album if you ask me. There's Hey Jane, which is the real beginning of this fatherhood theme, talking about both perspectives on this accidental pregnancy.
Hey Jane, I'm terrified, petrified. I don't wanna get my freedom up or sanitize it. This my fault. Hey T, things happen. No one is wrong, but I don't need to stress. I could do this alone. My mom did it, your mom did it.
And Judge Judy, which might not be my favorite track from a sound aspect, but does a really good job of detailing a bond that Tyler formed with a woman and how their sexual escapades made her feel accepted before the presumed end of her life from an illness.
I'm on the other side, but I just wanna say thank you for the moments I could grab before I left. Yes, thank you for not judging Judy.
Take Your Mask Off has a great structure with each verse tackling a different person who is suffering from hiding their true self.
Slat and pop back at the ops, Gang this and you gang that. Don't let them know that you regret how you became that. Ain't too fond of them gays, you don't deny your way. Since a kid, you knew something was up. Had you thinking God would hate you. Mama, your first name, your last one got changed. They dream about your nest, but you crave flying alone, man. Claim you never wore a mask and how you don't get embarrassed. Boy, you selfish as fuck. That's really why you scared of being a parent.
Like Him is a moving update on Tyler's views towards his father, this time with a bit more sentimentality, rather than the anger that was found on previous songs about his dad. There's so much to talk about with this album, and I haven't even touched on it all. I Killed You is great from a writing perspective, as is Darling I, as is Noid. It's a great representation of paranoia, and it feels like the deepest look that we've got into Tyler's life and his headspace in a long time. And as I said earlier, the music on here is just stunning. So many great sounding moments stuck with me here. Whether it's that rapid burst of sound on St. Chroma, the rising high-pitched synth on Noid that perfectly accentuates this feeling of building paranoia.
Triple checking if I lock the door. I know every creep that's in the floor. Motherfucker, I'm paranoid.
The lush warmth of Darling I.
I drive my Beamer in the summer when I'm ready to drift. La Ferrari handle better and it's pretty as shit.
The chaos of Sticky.
Bitch, step zombie pop shit, glass full.
The happiness of Balloon.
No BBLs, I like A cups. Long legs pretty when they wake up.
Or the super pretty synth outro section on I Hope You Find Your Way Home. There's just so much that stands out on this album, man. I'm replaying the hell out of this. Man, I don't see that changing anytime soon. I don't know if it's my favorite Tyler album right now, but like I said, it definitely feels like his most mature as a songwriter and potentially even as a musician so far. And that's a wonderful thing. And that is why Chromacopia by Tyler the Creator is my personal favorite rap album of 2024. Hold on, let's get these lights Chromacopia green before we continue. There we go, I made the lighting more green for the outro. It's supposed to look like Chromacopia green, but this is more Yeet 2093 green, but whatever. And so there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. These were my 10 favorite rap albums of 2024, so now I'm gonna pass the question over to you. What were yours? Let me know down in those comments below, and thank you for watching. And now it's time to get to work on a list I've been dreading and looking forward to in equal measure. The 10 worst rap albums of 2024. I'll be dropping that as soon as I can. With that being said, you can click on the screen right here to check out my worst songs of 2024 video while you wait. And much love to my channel members and Patreon supporters over there, with a special shout out to Cheese Daddy, I Am Regent, KWG13270, Lucas1123, and Neo Striker.